Welcome to another week. We just finished up week 7,
Week 7.
and what an eventful week 7 it was. Was it not, Adam?
I was finally humbled by the guy who's ninth in our league. He's actually fifth now, I think. Brentwood is currently he's currently fifth. He went from ninth to fifth. You're welcome, Brentwood. It was a great week for him. Actually, it wasn't really a terrible week for me either.
hmm
Like I overperformed. Like overall, like my projection was like 108. I ended up getting 116 points. I didn't like underperform. He way overperformed. He went from like 110 projected to 134 projected. So
Yeah, that's
like
quite a skyrocket. Like
yeah.
anytime, like so we're through 7 weeks and everything. You've kind of
Mhm.
seen what your weekly projections are. Anywhere between, you know, 102 to 107, like you feel pretty confident about your team going into that week, right?
Mhm.
But when you hit that 113, 115 mark, anytime you kind of eclipse that 110 mark, you start feeling a lot better about your chances of winning. And, when you eclipse the 120 mark, you pretty much think you have it in the bag, but when
Yeah.
you get to the point where you're putting up 130, I mean, when you're doing 150, 160 in a week, I mean, that's
That's insane.
that's like you just went and hit the lotto right there, like you just
Yeah.
managed to have every single person, everything go right, and everybody have a big game. So, um,
And
it
he has
happens.
I think the lowest he had was like his tight end at 6.7 points. Otherwise double digits for his running backs and his quarterback. His running backs both or sorry, his wide receivers and his quarterback were double digits. Running backs were 8 and 7. Uh, but then his flex was 22. His kicker was 12, and his defense was 20. Denver was killing it uh,
Yeah,
this
they went
week.
up against a really bad Saints team that just kind of gave up. They were like, yeah, we don't even want to play anymore.
And
Is what
I
it kind
started
of
off
seemed
strong
like.
here. My wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. He started me off with like 19.6 points.
Yeah,
That's where I started.
that's
Josh
that's a
Allen
great way to start the day.
just barely underperformed, getting me 21 points.
hmm
The same week, I looked at my bench and CJ Stroud, he only got me like 5 on the bench.
Yeah,
I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good thing I didn't
he
have him
didn't
on there.
do hardly anything at all. He didn't
Yeah,
get injured. He just
that's
he
good.
just didn't. Yeah, he just didn't really do a whole lot.
Because he's my
Um,
backup. My kicker, Cameron Dicker, he got me 21 points. So like
Dicker
that
the
that was
kicker got you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I knew like I was game was over because he played Monday, and by
hmm
that point
Monday night.
I was at like 90 something points, and Brentwood was at like 120 some, like 127 or something like that.
hmm
I'm like, game was over. Like I wasn't gonna win, not unless Cameron Dicker got me like 30 plus points extra or whatever. Um, but yeah, like he ended up pulling through with 21 points, which I mean boosted my overall score pretty high, and made sure that I was still about 14 points ahead of you. But that's the only difference
10.
right now. What?
10.
What? Let me
I only
see.
have to outscore you by
Oh
10
no, yeah, you're
points.
right.
I
You're
have
right.
you on
10 points.
fractionals. Yeah. No, I looked at that Monday night. I looked at that to see what the difference was going to be, and much to my chagrin, you had added a few more points, and I was not going to overtake you for first this week. So,
I was getting nervous. I was getting
um,
nervous there because I was like, I'm losing. You're winning. I'll be honest.
you
I'm
know,
sorry.
at
I was hoping you were going to lose that one, just so that I wouldn't. Granted, then Casey would have overtaken you because he's got 4 more points than you. But I got to be careful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, I only have to outscore you by 10 points in any given week, and I'll pull
And
up
you'll
on
take.
you there.
Well,
Yep.
that is, yeah. That's assuming that we both win on that week.
Well, yeah,
Otherwise, if
that's
I
what I'm
lose and
saying
you
is that,
win, then you
yeah,
overtake
or
me
or
easily.
vice versa. You hold on to the lead and everything.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, if we both win from here on out, which we know that won't happen because we play each other in what, next week, I think. Week
Oh yeah.
nine, I
So
think you
yeah, well,
said.
this upcoming week and then the week after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm projected to have about 11 points higher than you. So
Well, we'll see.
we'll see.
I probably have some players on bye and stuff that might be
Oh yeah.
affecting
Okay,
it.
yeah. I'm looking your
Yeah,
kicker. Your kicker is on bye week that week. So
I'll make sure I go get a good kicker.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
think
I mean,
I'm keeping Dicker on board for a while. Because
you
yeah. I think he got me more points uh than Brandon Aubrey did in a single week.
well, I mean, they were also on on bye last week.
Well, yeah, like that's actually why I picked him up is because Brandon Aubrey was on bye week.
Oh, okay.
But Minnesota, like the Vikings actually like they lost like that was their first loss of the season.
Yep, they took the L.
And it was looking at one point when I looked, they were projected to give me -1 point. I don't know what happened. They went from like I was at like 1 point, and then went up to 11 points somewhere in like
Hmm.
the third or fourth quarter. Something really crazy happened, and like they just gained 10 points somewhere in that. It seemed like they were having a really bad game, and I
Yeah,
mean
you
they
weren't
still
watching it,
lost,
were
but
you?
no, I wasn't. No.
You weren't watching the game. So, yeah, before I dive into my team here, yeah, what happened was that it was probably about middle of the fourth quarter, right? The
Mhm.
Vikings were trying to make somewhat of a comeback and everything after letting the Lions just walk all over them in the second quarter and third quarter.
Mhm.
And uh, just they needed a stop in the worst way, but more than anything, they needed a defensive score. And
Mhm.
sure enough, that's what happened. Is there's a play and the ball got stripped out and everything, and then Ivan Pace, Vikings linebacker, scooped up the ball and was able to get into the end zone and everything. There was a penalty on the play, but it was on the offense, and
Oh.
so the touchdown was able to stand, and so that's you got 8 points right there because 6 points for a touchdown, 2 points for a fumble recovery, 8 point play right there. Helped kind of boost the defense up, prop it up after giving up so many points and everything.
Yeah, I think I might have been at like 1 point, maybe 3 points because yeah, that got me all the way up to 11 points there. So that was a huge surprise. But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
shoot
far I
for
feel like my team is linked to the Vikings winning, so we'll see how that
it,
plays out.
that's
So
not
far,
untrue.
every time the Vikings have won, I've won.
Hmm.
Just saying. Just saying. Uh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's not untrue. Um, for me, I was only projected to win by about a point going into the week against the eighth seeded team right
Mhm.
now. And going into it, I was pretty confident, and unfortunately, uh, I kind of quickly became worried about being able to um, being able to beat this guy because he shot up and got well over 100 points and everything. He finished with 113. Um, Trying to think of who was I waiting on. Yeah, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. So it was just two. Um, Fortunately for me, but unfortunately for the actual person, um, his wide receiver Chris Godwin ended up getting hurt, and I believe it's a broken ankle.
Oof.
Um, and just like that, another one bites the dust. So, and earlier in the game, actually, Mike Evans, uh, the wide receiver one for Tampa Bay, went down with a hamstring injury that got re-aggravated. So now Tampa Bay is down their top two wideouts, um, one for the season and one for several weeks at a minimum. Um, but he had Kareem, Kareem Hunt with Kansas City, who put up 21 points and everything. Najee Harris outscored his bid of 10 and a half to score just over 16. Um, DK Metcalf went off to score almost 18 points. Um, and so like overall, like he had a really solid outing. And going into Monday night, he had Chris Godwin. I had Baker Mayfield and Derrick Henry. And I'll be honest, I didn't think I was gonna win, right? Devonta Smith really shit the bed this week. He was projected to score just about 11 points. He scored 3/10 of a point. So,
Got nothing. Got
yeah,
nothing.
that was really tough. Um, Especially when I could have done some moving around with some players and everything, and slotted my flex player into wide receiver, and then a different player in, that could have boosted me by, about 11 points or so. So I was kind of upset there that he just disappeared, did nothing. So I didn't have too terribly high hopes. Despite my kicker giving me 14 points and everything. Uh, but then we had our Monday night football games, and that's when the miracle in the Mile High began. The comeback.
The
The
comeback.
Monday Night
Great setbacks
Madness.
make for great comebacks.
Oh, man. Um, yeah, I mean, I was probably, if I'm doing the quick math here, uh,
Was it your
probably only
quarterback?
had about, yeah, it was my quarterback and running back. I'm trying to think. I was probably right around like 70 points
Oof.
versus like 103. So I'm looking at like a 30
Oh,
33 point deficit, right?
yeah,
Going
yeah.
into going into the Monday night games, this dude's got one more player to play, and then I
Hmm.
got my quarterback and Derrick Henry, the stud, Derrick Henry, to play. Um, and damn, I mean, it was a game. Um, it was entertaining enough to watch because Tampa Bay, they got down big to Baltimore, so they had to throw it a lot and everything.
Hmm.
So Baker came through for me. He was projected 17 and a half points. He scored 29. And then Derrick Henry was projected 16 points, scored just shy of 25. Um,
It's almost
and
55 points that you got there with those two.
yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah, it's I want to say like 53.7 would be like the exact points there. So yeah, just I came back from being down. Ended up winning 120 to 113, and so I remain with just the single loss on the season and managed to score enough points to kind of catch up to you there, to where
Just shy.
now we're just 10 points apart there, and it makes sense why you weren't as excited. When I'm texting you about the comeback and stuff, you could have
I'm
been at
like,
least
great
more.
for you, bad for me.
I know, right?
I'm happy for you, but
Uh,
at the same time, I'm hoping you lose.
oh, I
Uh,
mean, you could have text back when it came to me coming back in my other league as well. Uh, you could have at least text back. I thought that GIF was pretty good.
I forget what did I send?
The Austin Powers.
Oh, what was it? Let's see
Oops, I
here.
did it again. Something like that.
Oh, you're the one who the I did it again, baby.
Yeah.
GIF. Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah. Have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I watched that.
Okay.
I think this year for the first time.
Okay. So you got that reference when I sent you. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, I thought that was very appropriate for that, and the other league came right down to the wire there too. I had what's his face, James Conner left, and the other guy had Marvin Harrison. So as soon as the Tampa Bay game was over, I
Mhm.
immediately switched over to watch the end of the Arizona game. And I'm sitting there and watching like Arizona drive down against the Chargers because all they needed to do was just drive down to get a field goal.
Mhm.
And Kyler Murray ends up like throwing a pass to Marvin Harrison Jr. and he drops it, and I'm like, I see he's thrown to 18. I'm like, no, don't catch it, but I want James Conner to get more points. Like it's a back and forth. Well, he ended up um, getting fouled and everything on that play, so they got the first down. And then just as luck would have it, uh, Kyler Murray threw a screen pass to James Conner, who took it for like 20 or 30 yards or something like that. And then after that, they were already in field goal position. So they just kept handing the ball off to him, and he kept getting yards, to kill the clock and everything. So then they
Just
could just
racking you up
stop it.
points.
Yeah, I'm like, heck yeah, because I'm like sitting here like, I was like, no, because I was beating the guy in my other league by, I want to say like it was fractions of a point, not even a full point. It was fractions. And I'm like, if he caught that, I'm going to be down like a couple points again. And like, it's just this back and forth. And yeah, I ended up winning by several points just because that big catch and run did a lot for me. And then after that, they were just handing him the ball, and he probably got another like 10, 12 yards, something like that, from what I can remember. So the points racked up in my favor. I was able to claw my way back, and I want to say I'm like 3-4 in my league over there now. It's not nearly as good as what I'm doing here, so it was very nice. Overall, I went 5-1 this week in Yahoo, and then went two and
6-1.
two in no, I went 5-1. I got 6 fantasy football leagues in Yahoo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Five
on the
winning teams and
week,
one losing team. Okay.
one losing team. Yep. Yeah, so it was a good week. ESPN, I split 2-2. So, um, I mean, I don't really care as much about those ones, but yeah, this was it was a good week finally for me. I'm hoping I can build off of that, and I'm gonna be coming
Let's hope.
for you now because this next
Let's
week
hope
I'm
this
not
doesn't start
project.
into a downward spiral. I really hope this doesn't go into a downward spiral.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, this week is kind of interesting because I'm not projected as much. It's really interesting to me. Baker Mayfield is the second highest scoring player in fantasy this year, and he is still only projected 15.7 points this week, despite being very consistent. I mean, that could be because he just lost like his two biggest wide receivers.
that
Um,
could be, yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a chance of that. Uh, but Dak Prescott isn't really any better of an option at the time right now. Um, yeah,
And
unfortunately, I'm
project and
playing Justin
projected like
Jefferson.
I'd probably go with the one who performs consistently better over the one that has the better projection. Uh,
Oh, yeah,
because
no, for
like just
sure.
just because they're projected for something doesn't mean they're actually going to hit it, or it doesn't mean that they're not going
Yeah,
to exceed that. So I
no,
think
absolutely. I gotta see if
uh,
what's
yeah,
his
because
face?
Minnesota was projected at like 5 points. The Vikings were projected at 5 points for the defense this last week, and like I think
Yeah,
they've been projected at pretty low, but their defense like consistently
well,
scores me really like a lot of points.
yeah, no, they've been pretty
So
consistent on actually like outscoring their projections, which has been big. So, um, if I get Jonathan Taylor back, that might provide a little bit of a boost. The toughest part for me, honestly, is the Devonta Smith situation because Addison plays tomorrow night with
mhm.
Minnesota against a banged up LA team. Um, Now, which Detroit doesn't have good secondary, and he didn't really do a whole lot against Detroit. So then I started questioning whether or not he'll do much against the Rams. We'll kind of see. But if I lock him in at wide receiver, then that leaves me the option of Devonta Smith at my flex position, or I could swap him out for Jonathan Taylor. Unfortunately, just after getting burned this past week, I'm a little shy at locking in Devonta Smith when I normally would. Uh, so that's a choice I'm gonna have to make before kickoff this week. Um, Tomorrow night, 6:15. So,
Oh yeah,
but
because we're
once again,
recording this on Wednesday. A
yeah,
little bit, slightly later than usual.
little bit later.
A little bit
Um,
later.
but yeah, so we'll see if I can pull up against Horace and his team Most Wanted, who's in sixth, and hopefully I can keep my place in second. And some of these other players that are predicted to do well on his team don't do well, except for Justin Jefferson because I have him. So that's an L I'm gonna have to take.
It looks like I won't have to. Oh wait, so Bruno is who I'm up against, and it looks like I don't like the only one I'm gonna have to wait for is a running back from Bruno. But hopefully by Monday we'll be able to fight. We'll be able to see who's winning for sure by then. So let's see if he actually swaps out his wide receiver because his wide receiver's in IR. And
Right.
let's see here. He has one wide receiver he can swap out. Give him 11 points, he'd be projected to higher than me. Right now it's 99 to 92 points.
Okay.
So let's see if he pays attention. It was a couple weeks
You
ago.
might get lucky.
I was going up against a guy, and he didn't even one of his players was out, and he didn't even swap him out. Like he was out way before like the games even started.
Is that
And
when you play Casey?
let's see here.
I think that's when you played Casey.
Let's see here. Going back because Casey was, yeah,
I
yeah.
felt like yeah.
His, yeah, because our Rashad White, he
Yeah,
was projected
Rashad
for
White.
Rashad White. He was projected for 0 points. Actually, sorry. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay, sorry. He had 2 players that got 0 points. One of them was projected at 8 points. That was his tight end. But when
Okay,
Rashad White, his running
Goddard.
back, was projected at 0 points.
Yeah, he got ruled out before the game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he wasn't
didn't
paying
even swap him out.
attention. Yep.
Granted, I still won only 4 points above him. So
Yeah.
that was not a very good week for me. 98 points that week. Yeah, both my best wide receivers are in IR, and that is not good.
Wide receivers are going down like flies.
Crazy. I
It's
miss Nico Collins.
crazy.
I tell you, man, that guy was great.
Yeah. Gotta
Rashid
start really
Shaheed
digging
and
deep.
Nico Collins. Yeah, I had to clear out because I ended up dropping a few players from my bench and ended up picking up a wide receiver and a couple of running backs because I was like, well, I'm running, like I'm out of running backs. And I have no more running backs on my bench, and I'm running out of wide receivers because they all keep getting injured, and all my best ones are injured. So now I'm on my backups. So, yeah, not great at all. But
well, we'll see how we make it through another week, and we'll
hopefully,
meet
some
back
good
here next
overperformers.
week, and yeah, and hopefully I overperformed a little bit more than you do this week.
Hopefully not. No.
Give you
First
the
time
chance to
doing
even
fantasy
it
and I
out.
get first place. Come on. Great underdog story,
Hey,
man.
it's not about the regular season. It's all about the
Oh,
playoffs.
that's true.
So
That's true. I keep forgetting
yeah,
about that. Yeah.
that's where it matters.
That's where it matters.
So we
We'll see how
will
that goes.
we'll do this again next week.
Maybe
Then
I'll make like the Vikings and just completely flop at the I'm blanking on what it is called. Playoffs. Flop at the playoffs.
oh yeah, choke.
Choke at the there you go. They're just
Yeah,
I'll make like the Vikings and choke at the playoffs.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you'd been choking for 60 years, you'd be purple too. So
I am very purple. Very
yeah,
purple indeed.
it's one of those things. Well, we'll do this again next week, and
Alrighty.
it was great seeing you again. We'll see what happens.